Hi there, I'm Lara Anisha Flint. I'm an assistant head teacher of a primary school in England in which we are filming today. I have also been a trustee of the CoED Foundation since its launch at the British Parliament in 2013. The foundation exists to bring compassion into everything we do in teaching and learning. It's an international charity which is based in Birmingham. It's my job today to orchestrate this presentation, so let me introduce my two colleagues who will be co-presenters.
Hello, my name's Anthony Delphine and I've been an advisor for the CoED Foundation since 2017. I'm the CEO for the Standing Ovation project and we focus on raising the self-esteem of young people using the art as an outlet.
Hi, I'm Amajot Butcher. I've been the part-time personal assistant to the CEO of the CoED Foundation since 2015. You will see Maurice Earfan-Coles later. In this brief presentation, we aim to offer a working definition of compassion, its typology, and the Foundation's characteristics of a compassionate person. Provide some of the imperatives that drive the compassionate education movement, and provide an overview of the Foundation's work.
Thank you so much, team. So, what is compassion?
Traditionally, at least in much of the Western world, compassion has been seen as rather soft and woolly word. Nothing is farther from the truth. Compassion is from the Latin compati, which means to suffer with, but it is not merely sympathy, for it implies action. Compassion as empathy and action has the same dual meaning in Arabic, Hebrew, Greek, Sanskrit, Pali and Punjabi. CoED isolates four key components of compassion. A, the recognition of a person or group suffering. B, an empathetic response to that suffering. C, an active determination to alleviate the distress and, where possible, the causes of that distress. D, the practical wisdom of the heart and of the mind to do this. What is interesting is that slowly we are realizing that intelligence is not merely cognitive, not merely of the mind, but there is an old intelligence of the heart which stresses intuition and synchronicity. You can be sympathetic and do nothing. You can walk in somebody's shoes and still do nothing. It is only when you act that it becomes compassion. As the great contemporary Buddhist Thich Nhat Hanh said, compassion is a verb.
The Foundation has spent a lot of time devising a typology of compassion, which schools and other services can use to help inform their practice. We render this quite simply as the compassionate pyramid. You will note that the base is compassion for self, and in our world, so many young people struggle to love themselves. That is one reason why we have a mental health crisis. Often they struggle to really care for their community in this digital age, but we now have overwhelming evidence that demonstrates unless we have compassion for the planet, our future is very bleak. The pyramids, of course, are one of the wonders of the Egyptian world, and for them, the pyramids symbolise the connection between the individual self, the spiritual self, and the realm of the sacred.
The Foundation brainstormed all the values and attributes that potentially made a human being compassionate. The whiteboard was full of adjectives which perhaps remarkably we managed to finally cluster under the mnemonic acts for love. Thus, for example, you might be creative, collaborative and fun, but definitely loving. As Mother, now Saint Teresa, said, we cannot all do great things, but we can do small things with great love. In summary, the CoED Foundation defines compassion as love in action. Schools have found the Acts for Love template a very useful audit in terms of their own self-assessment as compassionate institutions.
Schools across the planet are amazingly busy places, and we are arguing that it is imperative that they place compassion, love in action, at the heart of what they do. So, why bother? What are the key imperatives for change? There is a growing canon of evidence relating to the brain. Neuroscience can now prove that we are all wired for compassion, but we are not hardwired. We now know that the more we practice compassion, the more the neural pathways in the brain are consolidated. In short, the more compassionate you are, the more compassionate you become. The more compassionate you become, the happier you are. And the happier you are, the more ready for learning you are. It is education's role to reinforce this virtuous circle.
This new science of compassion validates much of the intuitive wisdom of the ages expressed through faith and spiritual traditions. It is also underpinned by an evolutionary theory that stresses the survival of the kindest alongside the survival of the fittest. In his later years, Charles Darwin himself had realised he had underplayed the importance of species working together rather than just in competition. Put simply, our world is now so interconnected that we have collectively to move to a tend and befriend culture and not a fight or flight culture.
The idea of oneness and interconnectivity is the foundation for an international movement based upon the Charter of Compassion, which argues that we must place the golden rule, treat others as you wish to be treated, at the heart of everything we do. The CoED Foundation explicitly includes love for the planet as well as for people as part of the new golden rule. Everything the foundation does is evidence-based. So, for example, there is an increase in research to demonstrate that applying the golden rule to business secures a better bottom line because the workforce feel valued and is more motivated.
I can only give you a summary of compassionate education. The detailed case is made in the CoED Foundation's first book, Towards a Compassionate School, From Golden Rule to Golden Thread, which is available from all booksellers. Let me quote from page 19, which really summarises what we are trying to say. Compassionate education is the conscious implementation of love in action, of the values and the virtues outlined in the mnemonic Acts for Love. It involves making compassion the organising principle of everything we do. Put another way, compassion is a perspective, is a way of seeing the educational world which should be based upon the principles of collaboration and service, so that young people leave our schools with the mindset that demands, what can I do to help, rather than what is in it for me.
That sounds great. But what does that mean in practice? Is there a pedagogy of compassion?
That is a fundamental question which will be unpicked in the CoED Foundation's third book, We Must Love One Another or Die, The Pedagogy of Compassion. For now, we simply argue that compassion can be caught, taught and cultivated. So, caught characteristics are the virtues and values, are the characteristics that young people pick up almost by accident, the behaviours that adults model, the acts of kindness they undertake, the moral compass they witness. These are caught. To date, compassion is rarely taught, but we are arguing that we must teach young people the neuroscience, must encourage them to understand and develop the wisdom of the heart. Cultivated is the fostering of compassion through both what we teach and how we teach it. So, for example, involving young people collaboratively in their own learning, encouraging them as active citizens, teaching deep listening skills, all these enhance the development of the compassionate mind. We still have a long way to go, but at least now we have the intention and the science. Let us finish with a brief word from Maurice Irfan-Coles, founding trustee and CEO of the CoED Foundation.
In some ways, the world we now inhabit has never been so conflicted or so divided. Many of the old rules of behaviour and social norms have been diminished by senior politicians who pursue their own agendas, often at the expense of many of their own populations, and often with no regard for the planet and all the species that live on it. Having said that, however, there is a growing community of compassionate souls throughout the world who refuse to make an idol of individualism and consumerism, and who argue that we must change the paradigm and the story that underpins it. Our small foundation is linked internationally to a growing range of people in all walks of life who refuse to accept these dehumanizing models and behaviors. We work on a range of compassionate education projects. We write books and think pieces, and we have a dynamic website. We're always looking for associates with ideas and vigour, so please join us to make a reality of compassionate education. For in truth, the alternative does not bear thinking about.
On behalf of the team and indeed the whole foundation, can I thank you for taking the time to watch this short video. We do hope to hear from you. Love and respect.